All right, guys, big day is here, Kentucky Derby Day, and we are just a few days away as we record this video here. The preview for the Kentucky Derby coming up. This is one we've all been waiting for. We've been covering this for, 6 months now. It is time to get it going. We're going to go through them one by one. We're going to give you what we think here, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can pick the right horse this year. All right, let's get to it. Like I said, field of 20, we got it also eligible. We're going to go through one by one. We're going to just kind of see what we could do here with this field. All right, we're going to start with the number 1, Citizen Bull. Of course, this horse was the 2-year-old horse of the year last season, winning the American Pharoah and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile to end that season. Started this year good as well, winning the Robert B. Lewis before a 4th place finish in the Santa Anita Derby, beaten 9 3/4 lengths. Now, trainer Bob Baffert, after the Santa Anita Derby, said, boy, he really, really needed that race. He will run better next time out. Here we are, next time out, Kentucky Derby. I think he is a pace presence for sure. I do think there is just one way this horse is going to go, and that's to the front. I think he goes to the front. He presses the pace. He's going to try to take him gate to wire all the way from the rail here. I do think he'll run better than he did it in the Santa Anita Derby. That was not a great race out of him by any stretch of the imagination. I do think he'll run better. I just don't think it will be good enough to get the job done. I've always kind of liked this horse, obviously, winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and such. But at the end of the day, I just feel like they may have caught up to him a little bit. And the other kind of problem with him, he just, he'd been getting these easy leads, and then he kind of got pressured a little bit in the Santa Anita Derby, and he just didn't run very well. So kind of quit. A maiden beat him that day. It's just hard to see form reversal. I absolutely, positively know that you don't have to win your last race to win the Kentucky Derby. But I just think it's a long shot for this one. Even his best race from a time form and a buyer perspective, it just doesn't fit. So the number 1, Citizen Bull, not going to be for me this year. The number 2, Neoquist. This is a horse that has finished 3rd in his last 2 races at Gulfstream Park in the Fountain of Youth and in the Florida Derby. He's the ultimate long shot. I think this is a nice horse. I like his talent level. It's just, for me, I just can't do it in the Kentucky Derby. I just couldn't get there with this horse. Look, I think he'll be a pace presence as well. I think him and Citizen Bull are going to fly out of the gate. I think those are 2 horses. They're going to run fast early, try to run fast late. I just don't think either one of them can get the job done. Let's move on to the number 3, Final Gambit, who will be making his dirt debut in the Kentucky Derby. That's always a tough thing. He's coming off of back-to-back wins over the synthetic surface, though. 2 races back in his 3rd lifetime start. He broke his maiden at Turfway Park, an impressive come-from-behind fashion, and then jumped up in a massive way to win the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway Park in his next start. Whether you're a time form guy, whether you're a buyer guy, he made a massive jump from that maiden win to the Jeff Ruby Stakes win. It could have been the stretch out to a mile eighth that helped him in that one. As a 15-1 that day in the Jeff Ruby, and like I said, just closed like a freight train to win by 3.5. Much improving horse. This horse is by not this time out of a Tappet mare. So, the first thing you think of is distance is going to be good for this horse. And the second thing you think of when you look at that and go, well, that is definitely a dirt pedigree, right? I don't know why he's been there on the synthetics. He just could be a horse that's getting better at the right time. We'll see what happens for Brad Cox here. Ultimately, end of the day, I think I'm going to take a wait and see approach on him. I kind of wanted to get him involved underneath. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let him beat me in this spot, but I wouldn't be shocked if he does run well. Like I said, I think the dirt, it seems like it would be okay for him. We'll see what he does. It's going to be very interesting to see if he can kind of keep improving. That last race was obviously very good and perhaps good enough to get the job done in the Kentucky Derby if he takes to the dirt. The number 4 is Rodriguez. It's all going to be about the pace for Rodriguez. I thought his last race in the Wood Memorial was fantastic. Of course, his Robert B. Lewis and San Felipe Stakes, not good at all by any stretch under any circumstances. However, his maiden special weight victory 4 races back was brilliant, and he defeated Baeza by 7 lengths. So, look, it's going to depend on the pace. I think if he can get positioning, get the lead, and get clear running, a somewhat under controlled pace, I do think he's got a shot. He reminds me a lot of his sire, Authentic, who won this race in gate to wire fashion. I don't think he's as good as Authentic, but I do think he's got a high cruising speed and can, if left alone, he can do it. Like he could take him gate to wire for Bob Baffert. I don't think it's out of the realm. The problem is, though, on the flip side of things, there just seems to be a ton of speed in this race. So I haven't 100% decided how I want to play this horse. I am a little bit worried. Hey, what if he is the one that gets loose? He is the one I think that can win gate to wire under a certain set of circumstances. I just don't know, though, that he's going to get those. So I'm on the fence with what to do with him. I'm not going to pick him to win. I may try to play him in some pick fours and pick fives just in case he does take him gate to wire. The number 5 is American Promise. This is a horse coming off a very impressive victory in the Virginia Derby. It was a very fast race and a fast time that day. That's great. Don't get overly excited about it, though, because they were running at Colonial Downs where the track was playing very fast for that festival of racing they had that hosted the Virginia Derby. However, a good race is a good race. And if you win a Derby by 7 3/4, I don't care where it is, that's impressive. We haven't seen him in 49 days, but that should mean he's fresh. He's working out extremely well. I expect him to be part of the pace as well. I need to see him prove it against better horses, right? When he went to the Southwest, it wasn't great. The Risen Star wasn't great. But like I said, Virginia Derby getting that drop down in class, that worked out okay for him there. So we'll see what happens with American Promise. He's not really one for me, but would not be completely shocked, if he runs a big race for Dwayne Lucas. All right, number 6 is Admire Daytona. A toss for me. I did not like the UAE Derby all that much this year. This horse did win by a nose. Giving credit, he ran a very solid race that day, and he ran hard. He ran his heart out, really. But I just don't feel like that was that strong of a running. Remember, the UAE Derby was very strong last year. This year, I just don't think it's great. So I didn't play him. If he beats me, he beats me. Number 7, Luxor Cafe. He's beaten Admire Daytona a couple times. This is the horse coming up for overseas that has a chance for sure, in my opinion. Last time out, winning in the Japanese prep race by 5 lengths. I don't think this is a Forever Young type horse. I think that horse was really exceptional. I'm not sure this one is. I'm not going to play him, but I get if you want to play him. I think at 15-1, it does make sense to kind of take a shot with him. If he gets bet down more than that, I'm not sure. I think he needs to be about 15-1. All right, number 8 and the favorite is Journalism. In the last 4 races, just hasn't done anything wrong. A nice maiden special weight win at Del Mar, followed up by a win in the Los Alamitos for Charity to end his 2-year-old season. He was solid in the San Felipe and solid again in the Santa Anita Derby, winning all of those races that I just talked about. Speed figures, as far as that goes, time for him, he's just a few notches ahead. Same with Byers. He's just a couple notches ahead of everybody else. That's why he is the 3-1 favorite. He's doing very well. They're really bragging on him there at Churchill Downs, saying he's got a real good look about the track, when he's galloping around there. And look, he drew a great post. I think 8 is just a great post for him. A horse that can break pretty well out of the gate, and I think can sit a pretty decent spot as well. So pretty excited to see what he does here. Perfect post for him. Going to be tough to get around the favorite, no doubt. The number 9, Burnham Square, is a horse I've been squarely on the fence with ever since that win in the Bluegrass. I'm just going to go with my gut feeling. I don't think the Bluegrass was the absolute best race this year. I thought they came home pretty slow. I didn't love him in the Fountain of Youth when he finished 4th, beating 3 lengths. I did like him in the Holy Bull, and he beat a horse named Tapan Street, who unfortunately could not run in the Derby because of an injury. But he did go on talking about Tapan Street to win the Florida Derby. So mixed signals with this one. I just think they came home a little too slow in the Bluegrass. I'm not gonna play Burnham Square. But, boy, I'm going to kind of be upset because I do like him a little bit. So if he wins, I'll be like, yeah, I could have got there and just kind of decided not to do it. So, yeah, listen, Burnham Square, nice horse, though. I think he's in with a shot. I just question his level of talent. I just couldn't quite get there. Number 10 is Grande. This is a horse that won 2 races in a row down at Gulfstream Park, a maiden special weight and an allowance for running second, beaten 3.5 by Rodriguez in the Wood Memorial. Now, you got to go back and watch the Wood Memorial if you haven't. This horse was hung very wide on both the turns and still was able to get second. Wasn't really making up ground on Rodriguez, but really had an excuse not to do that. He traveled much further than everybody else in this race. I thought he showed a lot of maturity and a lot of heart for just the third lifetime start. I think at this post position, he's got a chance to get a pretty decent trip and not get an overall wide trip. And I think that's going to be a big difference maker for him. I think he's also going to sit a really nice trip behind all the speed, but not way, way back in the back. I think he's going to kind of sit in the pocket. So at 20-1, I think he's worth a shot. I think he's a long shot that you need to get involved. I think Grande will show up and run very well. The number 11 is Flying Mohawk. This is a horse will be making his dirt debut as well. It was all turf for this horse. It took 4 races. We got the maiden broke there at Churchill Downs, then won an allowance at Fairgrounds over the turf before trying the synthetic for the first time and running second, beaten 3.5 by Final Gambit. This horse is not for me. I talked about Final Gambit and the fact that he has a pedigree that says dirt may be okay. Flying Mohawk really doesn't. Out of Caro Conti, who won, who won the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile, and out of a Twirling Candy Mare, it just sounds like turf to me for this one. I'm not sure this horse is going to like the dirt. Number 12, East Avenue. I'm not going to play him in the spot, but I do think he plays a huge key in the race. If it's going to set up for mid-pack horses or closers, he's going to be the one talking about East Avenue that's going to have to go do his job, and that's go to the front. He ran very fast in the bluegrass and slowed down late, which is pretty predictable. He's working out extremely well since that race. Maybe that race woke him up a little bit, but I do think he's going to be sharp. I do think he's going to be one of those horses out front trying to set it up. Well, not trying, but I think eventually will set up for the closers here. I do think he's going to be a big part of this pace. Hopefully he gets out of the gate and they kind of at least will get to see what he's made of, which is something he did not do in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So second in the bluegrass last time out after the poor effort in the Risen Star and a poor effort in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. The number 13 is Publisher. He's 0 for 7 lifetime. That's right. A maiden is in the Kentucky Derby. Why? Because he kept, he got second in the Arkansas Derby, got fourth in the Rebel. So he's able to hit the board in a couple of big races there. American Promise was the horse that beat him in a maiden special weight when he finished second the last time he tried maidens. Obviously a horse that's here. So, that race produces 2 Kentucky Derby horses. So very interesting there. Look, he's a closer that just, he needs to get better. He is a horse that maybe can hit the board. I don't think you can argue that, but it's tough, man. It's just really tough to back a maiden as far as winning the race. I think, 30-1 seems to be about the right price. He's not for me in this one, but I think he's a cool horse. I'm glad he's here. I think he's going to win one eventually, but I don't think it's going to be on Saturday. Number 14 is Tiztastic. This is a horse that I love, coming off of a 2 1/4 length victory when stretching out to a 1 3/16 last time out in the Louisiana Derby. This horse was not running all that poorly, going 1 1/16. He finished second to Sovereignty in the Street Sense. He finished third in the Kentucky Jockey Club, third in the Southwest, fifth in the Rebel. That was his worst race. He did not run there very well there before winning that Louisiana Derby. And what I loved about him is he showed athleticism, which is going to be important for closers in this race. There's a lot of them. You're probably going to have to weave in and out of some traffic. Tiztastic did that last time out. If that pace sets up, I think they can kind of ask this horse to weave in and out of traffic and be okay. And so I think he's going to come with a little bit of a run. Also, he's got 2 wins over the turf as well, so it's crazy. Another horse in this race with nice turf influence. Of course, though, this horse proven on the dirt, unlike Flying Mohawk and Final Gambit. Like I said, for a long shot, I'd mentioned Grande. I like him at a long shot. I do like Tiztastic as a long shot as well in this one, and one you need to get involved. The 15 is Render Judgment, a great story here. Partly owned by Dreamwalking Farms, which is Toby Keith. Toby Keith always had a dream to run in the Kentucky Derby. Of course, this is his first, this is our first Kentucky Derby without Toby. He passed away. He somehow gets a horse into the Derby here. So a great story that Render Judgment makes it on that for those owners that are still left trying to honor Toby Keith. Now, the bad news is this horse just doesn't look to be the Kentucky Derby winning type. Fifth in the bluegrass, but wasn't that close. Second, beaten 7 3/4 in the Virginia Derby. Risen Star, nowhere to be found. The Gun Runner, nowhere to be found. He's probably just not this type, but he's here. He earned it based on the rules. He's here and he's earned it. So I don't like him that much, obviously, but he's here. and hopefully he can kind of make a nice run there for Toby and his memory. All right, number 16 is Coal Battle. This horse was third, beaten 7 in the Arkansas Derby. Not a great race from him there, but he did win 4 straight races and in a row, including 3 straight Kentucky Derby prep races, the Remington Park Springboard Mile, the Smarty Jones, and the Rebel Stakes there at Oaklawn. Those last 2 at Oaklawn, the first one at Remington Park. I'm a little worried that he can't elevate his game to this level. I'm also a little bit worried about the distance with this horse, a little worried about the post position as well. I think he's a nice horse. It would be an amazing story for the small outfit to get the job done. He's kind of on the fringe of maybe playing underneath type of horse. He's not for me to win, though. So I just couldn't do it with Coal Battle. Rooting hard for him. I'm just not sure that this is the race where you're going to see him at his absolute best. The number 17 is a horse that beat Coal Battle last time out in the Arkansas Derby. It's Sandman, and this is a horse. He's been his own worst enemy. The talent is there. 4 races back on December 13th, a very nice allowance win at Oaklawn Park, which set him up to run in all 3 of the big ones there at Oaklawn Park, the Southwest, the Rebel, and the Arkansas Derby. The Southwest was just an absolute disaster from a trip standpoint for this horse, and he was still able to get second, only beating a length. The Rebel, another one that he just got pinned in and just couldn't get out, finished third, beating a length and 3/4. And then last time out, he got a perfect setup. They absolutely flew around the track early, set it up for closers. He was still weaving in and out at the lane, in the top, or not at the top of the lane, but during the stretch run. But straight, he was able to still kind of keep at bay their Publisher for a 2.5 length victory. Very nice effort. Very huge gallop out for Sandman as well. Exciting to see what Sandman does here. I think he's in with a big shot. He's going to have to work out a trip from this outside post. I don't know. I don't know mentally that he's still there enough to win a race like the Kentucky Derby with this many horses. That's the worry with him. But he does have talent, and if it's not on Saturday, I think eventually he does have a big race with his name on it. Well, I guess he already won one with the Arkansas Derby. The number 18 is Sovereignty, and I was just dying for this horse to stretch out. He finally did in his 3rd start of his career, the Street Sense Stakes at Churchill Downs. His first win came in a stakes race after 2 good efforts in maiden special weights, but just barely losing. First race of this year, I thought he was super impressive, winning by a neck in the Fountain of Youth. His Florida Derby wasn't the greatest. He got second, beating a length and 1/4. I do think the stretch out and distance is going to help him. I do think there's going to be a hot pace, and I do think Bill Mott will have him ready to run his absolute best race. So I'm still interested in Sovereignty. Not quite as high on him as I was. We'll see where he gets bet. I don't love 5-1. I think he should be a little bit higher price, but he's in with a shot. The pace is, if it is indeed hot, which I'm projecting it's going to be, I think he's one that's going to be coming running, and he's going to give you a thrill if you've got him bet, no doubt about it. The number 19 is Chunk of Gold. This horse moved over to the dirt 2 races back. Second, beaten 9 3/4 in the Risen Star. Second, beaten 2 1/4 last time out in the Louisiana Derby. I like him as a closer. He's not one ultimately I put on the ticket though, but I'm not going to be shocked if he hits the board or something like that. He's going to drop back, make a run, and hope for the best. We'll see what happens if the pace collapses. This is another one that could pick up a lot of pieces. And then finally, the body of the field here, the number 20 is Owen Almighty. Owen Almighty sits here at number 20. He is in the field. He's going to try to take this field gate to wire. Well, at least that's what his owners want. The trainer says we're not going to the front. The trainer said we're not running. The owner says we are running. Who really knows what's going to happen with this one? I don't think he's going to play much of a factor in anything, to be honest with you. Breaking from the 20 hole, they may just kind of keep him to the outside, wrap him up, take care of him. That's what I would do. So, I think he either goes to the front or kind of sits, right off the leaders and tries to make that run. Going to be hard pressed for him to do it, but we'll see if he gets the job done. He is number 20. We should talk about the also eligible. If one scratch, we just need one. There's only one also eligible this year, by the way. If we just get one scratch, Baeza will make the body of the field and will break from the 20 hole. Number 21 here. And of course, second, beaten 3/4 of the length. Last time out to Baeza after breaking his maiden 2 races back there at Santa Anita. He's 12-1 on the morning line. And if you notice, there's a lot of 20s and 30s. Baeza is 12, and that does kind of tell you they think this horse, has a chance if he can get into the race. Also, it's important to note Flavian Pratt will ride Baeza. if there is one scratch. He's on Neoclis right now. He would jump off that horse and ride Baeza if Baeza gets in. So that is your field of 21. And this is what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you a top pick, and I'm going to give you 2 long shots that I think you got to play with the top pick. I am not going against number 8 Journalism. I am going to pick number 8 Journalism to win this year's version of the Kentucky Derby. He's just a tad better in all the elements that I look at. 4 straight wins. Speed figures are just a little bit better than the ones that I look at. A couple others that I don't really look at, he's still just a little bit better. Visually impressive in his races as well. Drew absolutely perfectly, and I think gets a great setup in this one. And even if he doesn't get the best setup and the speed doesn't really come back, we've seen him catch loose on the lead horses before. So I think that's a good thing, kind of the feather to have in his cap. So number 8 Journalism, that's going to be my top pick to win this year's Kentucky Derby. 2 long shots that I really like. The number 14 Tiztastic. I love the athleticism shown last time out. I love the fact that he got better going a mile and 3/16 and could get better again going a mile and a quarter. So Tiztastic's a horse I really think should be on tickets. And I really think the number 10 Grande, if he can work out a trip, and I really think he can, he might be ready to run a big race as well. And I could see him kind of sitting and getting first run on the leaders with Journalism kind of tracking, and then Tiztastic, Sovereignty, Sandman, that group making the back run from the back of the pack. That's kind of how I see that coming to fruition. So yeah, but on top, I am going to go number 8 Journalism to win this year's running of the Kentucky Derby. It's going to be a fun one. This is a fun group. I am unsure if it's an amazing group of horses or they're just okay. We're going to find that out. This is the first big step, but this is going to be an awesome, awesome race. No doubt about it. All right, guys. That'll do it for our video of the Kentucky Derby. Hit that like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe. You really like it when I get alert anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you are betting Churchill Downs this weekend, and most importantly on Kentucky Derby Saturday.